Hi everybody, it's Doc B at A Happy Vet. I just got back from the AVMA conference and I had a wonderful time. Thank you to everyone who took the time to come to my lectures. They were way more full than I expected and that was just terrific to see. Thank you also to the people who came up and gave me a hug or said something kind, especially the people who came up and whispered to me that I was not an imposter. I really appreciate it. So one of the things that we talked about in the imposter syndrome lecture was perfectionism. And we all know that perfectionism runs rampant in the veterinary community. And part of that is because as doctors and nurses and people working in a doctor's office, we have to get things right. Lives depend on us. So we have to understand that being a perfectionist can be a good thing, but it also can leak out into the other parts of our lives where being perfect isn't really important. And then we just end up driving ourselves crazy. So one of the questions was, what do we do to combat perfectionism? And one of the people in the audience said that she had a child that she was starting to see perfectionist tendencies in, and it was worrying her. So she wanted to know what kind of things they could do to help fight that. And I thought, what a great question. And boy, do I wish somebody somewhere had gone, how do I stop Cherie from being a perfectionist? Because I probably would have been a lot happier earlier in my life. So things that we can do, and really it all boils down to practice. Just like everything else in veterinary medicine, we have to practice at being imperfect. And we have to do that when it doesn't matter. So I talked to her about maybe buying coloring books and only coloring outside the lines, or deliberately coloring things the color that they're not supposed to be. If we're doing laundry, maybe just pull out the towels and the socks and just shove them in the drawer in the closet without folding them. And I know that upsets your tidy little hearts, but really practice it. It'll help. For instance, today, I decided that I was going to get on here and talk to you guys. And if I had to put on makeup and my Happy Vet gear, it was never going to happen. So I just decided that I was going to be here just as me on a typical work from home day. I'm here with the quality control wieners. They're curled up here, not looking at the camera, and that's not perfect either. And they really, really don't care. I'm a quilter, so I love to quilt, but I quilt so imperfectly. I quilt really fast because that makes me happy. I love to floor the machine and make it run. I know, very, very exciting. But you know, if I give you a quilt, odds are it's probably going to have some skipped threads and it's probably going to have a hole in it somewhere. Sorry about that. But I enjoy that so much, and I don't enjoy it when I'm trying to make it perfect. So I sacrifice being perfect for having a good time. So maybe tonight, instead of doing the dishes and putting everything away, leave the dirty dishes in the sink and go get some ice cream or go out to a movie. Do something fun. Do something imperfect, and then do something to reward yourself for it. A little hint for veterinary students and vet tech students. I remember in vet school when a professor would ask me a question directly, it was just mortifying. And I was so afraid to to raise my hand and have my answer be wrong. And really, it's okay. You know, 18 years later, I still, honestly, I'll tell you, I remember the stupid things that I gave as answers in school, but I doubt seriously that anybody else does. So practice answering questions wrong or answering questions where you have to guess. I asked the audience at my lecture, how many people are estimated to suffer from imposter syndrome, or what percentage of people? So this is a question that the answer really doesn't matter. We expect you not to know. This is the time to practice using your voice and shouting it out. Deliberately shout out something even if you don't think it's the right answer. The right answer is about 70%. And of course that varies, depending on who you ask, but 70%. So obviously all of us who are suffering from imposter syndrome are not alone. But that would be a perfect time to practice raising your voice and saying an answer and there being no consequences for it. If you go to a veterinary dinner and they ask you to guess something or they ask a question, practice giving answers when your career doesn't depend on it. I would rather you be wrong answering a question in a lecture and really remember the answer than to be wrong in the clinic because that part of the lecture you don't remember. So let's practice being imperfect. Let's enjoy it. I'm not going to edit all the mistakes out of this video. How about that? I'll probably never watch it because it'll bother me. But let's practice. If you're doing something to help combat perfectionism, get on here in the comments and let us know. If you have suggestions for those of us who are trying to be perfect all the time on things we can do to combat that, I would love to hear it. In the meantime, I hope you are having an imperfectly wonderful day. I hope you have a great week and a great weekend. From me and the quality control wieners at a Happy Vet, stay happy.